Hello, YouTube viewers and Transformers fans of all ages. This is the TFangy coming to you with my latest Transformers figure spotlight video, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the more, for lack of better grammar, controversial Transformers characters, and it is none other than Autobot Outback. Now, the reason why I say Outback is a controversial Transformers character is because when the time came for Outback to appear in the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon, producers of the Generation 1 cartoon decided that because Outback shared his name with the largest desert in Australia, that when he spoke, Outback spoke with a very distinct Australian accent. And it came to my attention recently that there were a few Transformers characters introduced before Outback who had some type of accent, but Outback was the one who got Transformers fans talking about the idea of Transformers characters with accents, since he had a very prominent and distinct Australian accent. And a lot of Transformers fans, because of Outback, over the years they've discussed back and forth about whether or not, since the Transformers are alien robots and when they come to Earth and speak human languages, does it matter if they speak with a heavy accent or not? Since it's been implied within Transformers fiction that Earth languages aren't the first language of the Transformers characters, so when they do speak languages such as English, does it matter if they have an accent or not? So Outback is the Transformers character who started that discussion. Now, an interesting bit of trivia, the two toys of Outback that I own are the Power of the Primes Legends class version, and then this big one right here is the deluxe class version of Outback, which was released in the Transformers Reveal the Shield toy line. And for the longest time, Hasbro was unable to get a registered trademark to Outback's name due to the fact that the word Outback had been a registered trademark for the chain restaurant Outback Steakhouse, and also the fact that, again, Outback shares his name with the Australian Outback, the largest desert in Australia. And so a lot of Transformers fans wondered if it would be possible for Hasbro to get a registered trademark for the name Outback. So this version of Outback, which is a repaint of the Revenge of the Fallen, a live-action movie deluxe class toy of Brawn, which was sold under the Reveal the Shield line, it was sold under the name Fallback. And a lot of Transformers fans were willing to accept the fact that Outback was never going to have his Generation 1 name again, so that's why it was really surprising when Hasbro decided to repaint the Titans Return Legends class toy of Brawn into Outback, just like in the Generation 1 toy line, and released it in the Power of the Primes toy line under the name of Outback. So a lot of Transformers fans were delighted to see that Hasbro was able to get a new registered trademark to Outback's original name. So some more trivia on Outback. As far as I'm aware of, definitely every official toy of Outback that exists that has been released by Hasbro and Takara Tomy, every toy of Outback that exists has been a repaint and on some occasions a slight retool of Brawn. And I did a figure spotlight video of Brawn a few weeks ago, and I pointed out that even though Brawn became a popular character during the Generation 1 franchise, there have been very few toys of Brawn released over the years, and because every toy of Outback has been a repaint and a retool of Brawn, with Brawn already having few toys, Outback has had even fewer. Now, with that said, in the Generation 1 toy line, Outback had two pieces that were retooled from Generation 1 Brawn. He had a new head sculpt and a different chest in robot mode. Now, for the Power of the Primes Legends class version of Outback, at first glance it might look like he has the same retooling as the Generation 1 toy, where he has a new head and torso, but actually the torsos, the robot mode chests specifically of Power of the Primes Outback and Titans Return Brawn, they are in fact exactly the same. The only difference is the paint job, but me personally, I kind of think of it as an optical illusion that they have the same chests, the only difference being the paint, because if you've seen the images of the Generation 1 toys of Outback and Braun, and you see the retooling done on the different robot mode chests, then it is somewhat of an optical illusion when you look at Power of the Prime's Outback's chest, but the only new retooling on Outback to set him apart from Titan's Return Braun is that he has a new head sculpt, and the new head sculpt, it's slightly more boxier, more box-shaped compared to Braun's. Braun's a more rounded head, and because of that, and since you have to rotate the head sculpt up to around 180 degrees when you transform the toy, it is slightly easier for me personally to transform Outback than it is Braun. Now, something you might have noticed about Legends Class Outback is that he's holding a laser gun that he didn't come with. And what I did is that I actually gave my Power of the Primes Legends Class Outback the laser gun that originally came with Combiner Wars Huffer. And I'll explain why that is in vehicle mode. Why Outback has Huffer's laser gun. And now moving on here to the Reveal the Shield version of Outback, there's not much else to say about it except that it is a straight up repaint of Braun on this version of Outback, which was sold in 2011 in the very short-lived Transformers toy line titled Reveal the Shield. It is a straight up repaint of Braun, so that is somewhat of an oddity since every other toy of Outback that's been released by Hasbro, and I think also Takara Tomy, Outback has at least had a different head sculpt, but the only difference between this version of Outback and Revenge of the Fallen Braun, apart from the fact that they were sold in two different toy lines, just like the Legends Class toys of Outback and Braun were sold in different toy lines. The only real difference is the paint job and also the faction symbols. So on Revenge of the Fallen Braun, he had a teeny tiny Autobot logo painted on his robot mode shoulder, and here on Outback, the gimmick of the Reveal the Shield toy line was that Hasbro decided one last time to see if Transformers fans would be into it. They decided to bring back the gimmick of rub signs that were used on the Generation 1 toys. And here on Outback, depending on how you have his leg armor positioned, the Autobot rub sign does end up facing upside down. But yes, unfortunately, no retooling was done here on Outback. Hasbro decided to just use the Revenge of the Fallen Braun mold a second time, and even though Hasbro wasn't able to get a registered trademark on the Outback name, they decided Outback would be the most appropriate character to be mold mates with Braun. And as far as I'm aware of, this right here, the Reveal the Shield Fallback toy of Outback, even though it's only a deluxe class toy, just like I said in my figure spotlight video of Braun, this is the largest toy of Outback that's been released by Hasbro. I should have checked Wikipedia before starting to record this video, but as far as I'm aware of, these two toys right here are two of only three toys of Outback that have been released since he was introduced to the Transformers franchise back in 1986. The other one is, of course, the original Generation 1 toy, which is smaller than both these toys, so yeah. Outback, he really hasn't been given hardly any toys at all, and I think even with third-party Transformers toy companies, every toy of Outback that exists, as far as I'm aware of the third-party toys of Outback, the handful of them that exists, they are repaints of Braun. And I thought there was one toy of Outback that was created that was an original mold. I can't really remember, but it did end up being mold mates with Braun. And so, yeah, unfortunately, Outback's real-life toy origin of being a repaint and a retool of Braun, it's nothing that's changed for him over the years, so whether or not the day will come when a toy of Outback is made that is not a repaint and retool of Braun, personally, I don't think it's ever going to happen because Hasbro and Takara Tomy, unfortunately, Outback is one of the Transformers characters they haven't really ever given much focus on. Again, the only time they've created a toy of Outback was when they've created a brand new toy of Braun, and they decided not to waste the mold and use it a second time on Braun, just like in the Generation 1 toy line. So, yeah, that's it is unfortunate, but But at least there are some toys of Outback that do exist. Oh, and someone's logged on. Let's see who we have here. Transformers Fanboy 14. And he says that he owns Power the Primes Outback. So yeah, Power the Primes Outback, he is my favorite of both these toys. He is easier to transform, and it's not just because of his small size. The Reveal the Shield version of Outback, just like his mold mate Revenge of the Fallen Brawn, he's a Transformers toy that's known as a shell former. And Generation 1 Scourge was one of the first shell former Transformers toys created, and basically what that means is that the parts of the vehicle mode, they end up kind of just wrapping around the robot mode parts. And basically, in robot mode, all the parts of that end up being the exterior of the vehicle mode here on Outback, they just hang off the shoulders, the back, and here on the legs of the robot mode, and it just ends up being kibble. So if you wanted to remove all these pieces to make Outback a more uniform looking robot, and you then transform him into his alt mode, you'll end up with a alt mode that's had the shell of the vehicle mode removed, so he'd just end up being a robot lying on his back. So yeah, that is the one gripe I have with this version of Outback. Let's see what Transformers Fanboy 14 has to say. And he's named off some toys from the Studio Series line that. And what's he saying about them? Oh yeah. Yeah, so yeah, shell formers, they aren't really my favorite toys, so now, one major gripe I have on my individual copy of Outback, right here on his robot mode shoulders, I don't know if you can see that right there next to my finger, but the shoulder kibble, there are some stress marks on there, and I didn't get Outback, Reveal the Shield Outback when he was released back in 2011, and Evan, I actually got him 2 years after he was released in 2013, and Outback is, as far as I can remember, he's the very first Transformers toy that I purchased from Amazon.com after I signed on with Amazon's service of Amazon Prime. So, yeah, Outback was the first Transformers toy that I got after becoming a member of Amazon.com. So, bear in mind with me as I transform him, and this is the biggest gripe I have with Outback. I said a moment ago it was that he was a shell former, but for me personally, unfortunately, it is slightly easier to transform him with his legs disassembled. Now, then part of that has to do with the fact that the way he transforms, he has a double jointed knee joint, and on my copy of Outback, sometimes it sticks in place as I take it off camera to try and transform it for you. Okay, so there we go. Got it off camera. So yeah, that's the biggest gripe I have with Outback and also Revenge of the Fallen Brawn. And sometimes it is easier to transform the toy when the legs have been detached. Bring this around so it's facing the right direction. All right, and so reattaching the legs so that they're facing the correct way. Flipping him around. So as you can see, all that leg armor he had forms the outer shell of his alternate mode of an off-road military truck. And it should be noted that Revenge of the Fallen Brawn was one of the Movieverse toys he was based off a vehicle that actually appears in the Revenge of the Fallen movie, but he wasn't an actual Transformers character, just a truck that the military drove around. So, bear in mind with me for a few seconds, please. So the most difficult part of the transformation, apart from the legs, is you have to bring the arms together, and the arms form the entire back middle section of the vehicle mode. And of course, while I'm filming on camera, they don't want to clip into place together for whatever reason, and they're wanting me to have difficulty transforming it for you guys. So I apologize for Outback wanting to be a pain in the neck while I'm filming a video. Yeah. Okay, and once you got the arms lined up, you bring these pieces back and then fold these up. These are the shoulder panels, or shoulder kibble, if you will. And then make sure everything is lined up properly. You then fold these two pieces, which just hung off the back end. It isn't even like the trench coat from Age of Extinction Crosshairs, where the sides of his vehicle mode folded down behind him and formed a kind of a trench coat. On this toy mold, it's just two large side sections of a truck hanging off the robot mode back. So it is unfortunate, but unfortunately at the time, the toy designers at Hasbro and Takara decided that it would make transformation quicker. Maybe made the transformation quicker compared to other toys released in the Revenge of the Fallen toy line, but it definitely did not make it easier. So finally, Outback is done, and of course he's mistransformed because I couldn't get his feet to line up at the correct angle. Finally, he's done. So when you line up everything correctly, he does roll well. And then again, the gimmick of the Reveal the Shield toy line was Hasbro brought back the faction rub signs from the Generation 1 line. So Outback's, it was on his robot mode leg, but it ends up on the hood of his car mode, or truck mode, here if you will. And Revenge of the Fallen Brawn did have this gun on his roof as well. But yeah, there is Reveal the Shield. Outback, or Fallback was the name on his box. And yeah, this is the largest toy of Outback released officially by Hasbro, but for me personally, it's my least favorite. Because of how finicky the transformation is. So hopefully I can transform Power of the Primes Outback for you here on camera. Rotate the head around, straighten out the arms, rotate the lower arms, bring it all together, make sure everything's lined up properly, and there's the entire front half of the vehicle mode. Come around here, flip in the heel spurs, join the legs together, there, and then rotate at the robot mode knees, make sure everything is lined up properly, and then take this piece off, attach it here to the back, and there is Power of the Primes Outback in his alt mode of an off-road truck, just like similar to the Generation 1 toy. So as I said, it is easier to transform Power of the Primes Outback, and it's not compared to his Reveal the Shield counterpart, and it's not just the size difference. There's less kibble, nibble and fewer parts to fiddle around with. I'm going to take a moment here to read what Transformers Fanboy 14 has said. Ed, he's asking if I like MGO. Oh, yes, I am a huge fan of MGO. He's one of my all-time favorite YouTubers. He's right up there along with Optibotimus and Piaf. Those guys have always been great reviewers of Transformers toys, in my opinion. And what I love most about MGO is the end skits he does at the end of his videos. And he also, let's see, Transformers Fanboy 14, he says, is that he prefers shopping at Target for Transformers toys. And he just subscribed. So yay, thank you Transformers Fanboy 14 for subscribing. And yes, I do agree that most Transformers fans find Target an easier place to shop for Transformers toys compared to Walmart and also the internet. Me personally, the reason why in my videos I always talk about ordering from Amazon and being a member of Amazon.com, having signed on with Amazon Prime. The main reason I did that is because here in my hometown, the only two stores I had to buy Transformers toys from, which were really expensive, were Toys R Us and Kmart. And it actually wasn't until this month, actually it was at the beginning of, let's see, what's today? Wow, it was, so basically it was just at the beginning of this month of April 2019, my local hometown finally allowed a Target store to open up. Even though Target was founded years ago, my hometown was a stickler about letting Target come in. But yeah, so it took until the current year 2019 for Target to finally be allowed to come into my town, and all the townspeople wanted Target to come in. And unfortunately, the city council didn't want Target to come in and take away from the small businesses. But to be honest, the small businesses don't survive here in my hometown. And so, yeah, my city is run by a bunch of people who don't realize that small businesses don't survive and only the big businesses can make it. So, yeah, that is a tad unfortunate. But I do understand people who say that shopping at Target is the easiest place to buy Transformers toys, and that for many Transformers fans, it is still more convenient actually walking into a Target store to find Transformers toys than ordering them off the internet. So bringing focus back here to Power of the Primes, Outback. I said at the start of the video I'd explain when I transformed him into his alt mode the reason why I gave him Combiner Wars Huffer's gun. And the reason why I did that is because if you look closely right here on the top of the rifle or the laser gun, and there is, I think this peg is 3 millimeters big, and then if you look there, I don't know if it's appearing on my camera, but in the top center of the faux spare tire on the roof of Outback is a peg hole, and it's the exact same size as this tiny peg on the rifle that comes with Combiner Wars Huffer. This is the same rifle that also came with Combiner Wars pipes. It came with the Thrilling 30/IDW Legends Class toy of Optimus Prime. It also came with Thrilling 30/IDW Legends Class Cliff Jumper. So if you have any of those four toys, the rifle/laser gun, it does fit on the roof of both Titans Return Brawn and, more importantly, Power of the Prime's Outback. So for me personally, when I saw that this rifle does clip into the spare tire just like on the Generation 1 toy of Outback, I honestly thought that Hasbro and Takara Tomy had designed the Titans Return Brawn and Outback Legends Class molds with the intent that Outback would end up getting this rifle to clip onto the roof of his alt mode just like the Generation 1 toy. On Generation 1 Outback, his rifle pegged into the top center of the spare tire since that was the only peg hole on the roof. And so, since I thought that the toys had been designed so that this weapon pegged onto the roof of this toy's alt mode, I was beyond disappointed when Hasbro revealed that Outback was not going to come with this laser gun, and the only accessory piece he came with was, in fact, the section of the roof that the spare tire sits on, which ends up being a shield in robot mode. But yeah, I was beyond disappointed when this rifle was not given to Outback, since it is designed to. It does make Outback look more G1 accurate. Now you do have the option also of using the standard 5mm peg into the 5mm peg hole on the roof of Outback, but unfortunately the very back piece of the rifle, it ends up hitting the spare tire, and so it sits at an awkward angle. So if you want, you could shave off that back piece of the laser gun. And I apologize since I keep going back and forth between the words laser gun and rifle, same thing. But if you don't want the laser gun to be unchanged or not modified, that smaller peg hole on the spare tire works nicely, and it is slightly more accurate to the Generation 1 toy. So yeah, that's the reason I gave Power of the Prime's Outback Combiner Wars Huffer's gun, because in the Generation 1 toy line, Outback came with a large laser gun and Huffer did not. So yeah, for those of you who don't have either of these toys, you can exchange the weapons between them. Yeah, it really works well for Outback. So Transformers Fanboy 14 has signed off for the night. Nice, so yeah, pretty much all I can say about Outback is that he's been out in the back of the crowd of Transformers characters, and like most of his fellow mini-bots from 1986 and most of the mini-bots in general, it's doubtful that Outback will ever have the popularity that Bumblebee has enjoyed. But yes, if I can recommend getting a toy of Outback, definitely get the Power of the Primes version of Outback. Even if you don't have any of the toys that come with this laser gun, without the laser gun, Outback still is he has a great robot mode, and his alt mode is pretty interesting. Being off-road truck, especially for the size of the toy. And I only recommend getting the Reveal the Shield Fallback toy of Outback, only if you want to go completist on the Reveal the Shield toy line, which you can because there were very few toys released in that line. Of Transformers, but I only recommend getting the deluxe class toy of Outback if you want to have a deluxe class toy of Outback. But yeah, in my opinion, the Power of the Primes version of Outback is the must-have toy of this character to have. So yes, thank you so much for watching. This has been the TFN Geek. I apologize for this video being longer than I wanted it to be. Hopefully the next figure spotlight video won't be too lengthy. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.